New at 9, a story that's grabbed national headlines. Police say 6 people that were a part of an online cult in St. Louis County vanished without a trace, and now...
What happens when your neighbors vanish without a trace? Imagine finding your entire family gone, as if ghosted by a secret. This actually happened. It was not in some far-off cult compound. It happened in a quiet suburb outside St. Louis. Houses, yards, grocery stores. People who smiled at each other on the block, who filled their kids' lunches, who left for work and never came back. Officers who walked into the rental described it like this: a life interrupted, a dinner in the microwave, laundry in mid-cycle, shoes were still in the closet, nothing packed, nothing missing, but everyone gone. That detail alone changes how you feel. This wasn't a sudden disappearance. There were no signs of a struggle. The house looked like someone would step through the door any minute and say, "We'll be right back." I am Maskyotic. I followed predators, online networks, and the darkest corners where people hurt others. This story, it sits between true crime and cult horror. It's modern, driven by social media, charisma, and belief, and it's real. 6 people vanished from one house, multiple adults and 2 toddlers. Neighbors knew them as a family, but in weeks before they disappeared, their behavior changed. Witnesses say that the adults began outdoor rituals at sunrise. They dug in the yard, they hugged trees, they chanted. Neighbors thought it was strange. Some of them thought it was a harmless ritual. Other neighbors thought that something more unsettling was happening. But what really happened was very different from every theory anyone had. At the center of this online web stood a man named Rashad Jamal, also known as Rashad White. He preached a doctrine he called the University of Cosmic Intelligence. Online, he proclaimed godhood, made grand claims about race and destiny, and gathered followers through short, persuasive videos. Here's the thing, Jamal had a following. Thousands of people watched him. That's how belief becomes contagious. Neighbors described weird daily rituals. The group would gather at sunrise, face the sun and sing. Once, when it rained, they ran around naked in the yard. They dug in the dirt and buried coins. Inside the house, police later found what looked like a makeshift altar and copper-wrapped items. To somebody inside that belief system, all of this may have seemed sacred. To an outsider, it looked like the family had been radicalized into a new religion. That's the shape of the modern cults. A mix of ritual, secrecy, and someone who claims to have the answers. Social media makes charisma scalable. A short viral clip converts strangers into adherents. Algorithms feed them more content. The slow parts, the grooming, the cutting off friends and jobs are harder to spot from the outside. But they're the same dynamics we've seen in the other cases. Emotional manipulation, groupthink, and eventual isolation. In early August, the family's behavior started to draw alarm. On August 12th, a relative reported a missing person. By August 13th, all 6 of them were gone. The house was left as if someone stepped out for a minute. There were no notes and no dramatic signs of force. Police opened up a missing persons investigation. Social medias connected to the group went silent. Posts that once preached Jamal's ideas disappeared, as if the internet has swallowed the evidence. This is the part that hits the hardest. 2 toddlers were involved. Families say the adults had been withdrawing more and more from relatives. One mother, who had a steady job and a class schedule, reportedly quit school and left work. People who knew them say the children were left in the care of grandparents before the disappearance, a sign that the adults weren't thinking clearly or were following instructions they believed were urgent. It's easy to sensationalize when children are involved. I won't do that. What I will say is this: when children are separated from their normal caregivers because of cult pressure, the risk is enormous. Local law enforcement has been tight-lipped. They confirmed the missing persons report and said that they were investigating potential ties to Jamal's group. Beyond that, public records show Jamal has a criminal past, including a conviction for sexual abuse, which complicates how seriously we should take his influence. Investigators also found altered names and ritual paraphernalia in the home. Nothing points to an obvious destination. That's the maddening part. The trail goes cold. The internet responded in predictable ways. Threads formed, people speculated wildly. Some blamed Jamal and demanded action. Others called it a voluntary leaving, an escape to a remote community, and some predictably crafted conspiracy theories. The truth sits between cynicism and panic. Our job is to look at evidence and patterns, not to chase every rumor. Historically, cults follow similar arcs: a charismatic leader, a group identity, isolation, and then a trigger, a disappearing act, a mass move, or worse. With the internet, the recruitment phase speeds up. Online messaging replaces face-to-face meetings, but the psychology remains the same. Here's where it gets darker. Jamal's public record includes a conviction for sexual offenses. There are screenshots and archived posts where he used inflammatory language and elevated himself above his followers. For anyone paying attention, that combination was a red flag. When someone claims divine status, the line between spiritual guidance and manipulation becomes very thin, and followers who've already cut ties can be primed to follow extreme instructions before. There are three main theories people float online. They left voluntarily to join a remote community or a Jamal-led project. They were hidden by the group as part of an escalating ritual plan. Or they met with foul play, either from someone in the circle or an outside actor. Which is most likely? Right now, we don't have the evidence to answer that. But the behavior leading up, isolation, ritualization, and severing of ties, makes the voluntary leaving theory plausible. That doesn't mean the outcome was safe. Police confirmed the missing persons report and said they were pursuing leads. But investigations into adults who vanish by choice are complicated. If an adult is over 18 and leaves voluntarily, there's not always a crime to investigate unless there's evidence of coercion, abuse, or a missing child. That's a gap in the system. If people are being groomed online and manipulated into isolating themselves, authorities often only see the aftermath. I keep coming back to the human cost. 2 toddlers. Parents who thought they were following truth, families left with questions. The victims aren't a headline, they're people whose lives have been erased from view. The grand cosmic case is a warning. Online charisma can be powerful. It can reframe reality for people who are lonely, searching, or vulnerable. If you're watching this and you feel concerned about someone in your life, if they're isolating, changing names, quitting jobs, pay attention. Ask questions, don't shame, and reach out. Look, I don't want to create panic. I also don't want to downplay the danger here. My read is this. This started as a charismatic, maybe performative movement online. But it crossed a line into real-life isolation. The arrest record and the secrecy are enormous red flags. Whatever happened to those 6 is tragic. I hope it's a voluntary gateway that ends safely, but I fear there are other possibilities. If the leader is using religion, spectacle, and online echo chambers to control people, that's not spirituality. That's control, and it can end very badly. If you're going to dig into this story with me, here are actionable things we can do. Save screenshots of any public posts from the group. Archive anything that looks like it's being deleted. If you have direct knowledge, contact local law enforcement or the tip lines posted in the story archives. Share this video with someone who followed these fringe movements on social media. Sometimes the crowd solves things. Our Mona Lisa monkey video is the evidence to that. This case is about more than an isolated disappearance. It's about how modern belief system forms. It's about how loneliness and charismatic messaging can meet on a phone screen and create a very real physical danger. It's about the thin line between freedom of belief and of the people who we trust. I'm going to keep watching this. I'll keep digging. If anything new pops up, a sighting, a legal filing, a follow-up, I'll put it in the pinned comment and make a short update. If you know anything, DM me. If you're sharing, be careful with accusations. Verify before you post. And please, if you follow charismatic teachers online, check the signs. Ask a question. Don't cut off your people. People vanish in the open. Sometimes it's by choice, sometimes it's because they were convinced that the choice didn't matter anymore. Either way, they deserve answers. If you liked this video, please make sure that you comment down below. And for now, subscribe, share, and speak, because silence is complicity.